And I'm also going to challenge you, if you're open to it, go read like as soon as possible. Like I'd love to hear you text me by Christmas and say you read it. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I know you probably get sick of hearing that because we talk about it all the time at the office, but what I'm hearing from you is that you're in 1 year, which I think, honestly, dude, I think you could do it. That's the thing is I don't, whenever someone tells me a lofty goal, I don't think about it like, oh yeah, right. I'm like, hell yeah, right. Like it's going to happen, but it's up to your level of commitment. So
Right.
start proving to yourself that's a reality by getting in touch with the resources and the people that live that lifestyle or have that result. Like I say, through association, but books are one of the most beautiful forms of association because you're literally able to take someone who is much further ahead of you and download all of their best information into your brain, right? So don't listen to the book. Like I want you to actually get a copy from the office and get a highlighter out and that's your Bible study until Christmas and like really go through it and try to understand what it's teaching you. Because there's a lot of like pain and heartache and also like cheat codes in that book that are going to just help you make this way more of a reality a lot faster. So yeah, I mean, really to do 500K next year, that's like 3 deals, like 3-4 deals a month, which when you break it down like that, that's actually not that many. Like it's not crazy at all. Super realistic actually. So yeah, keep me posted, man. But that's my challenge to you. Work on your language, watch your words, and also start getting in touch with or in proximity to the people or the information that, gives you what you need. So does that help?
Sweet. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, guys, we're going to jump into the training here in just a second. So Tori Bueller's birthday, December 13th, which is a couple days ago. Happy birthday to her. Next week, we've got a couple things going on. I'll keep you posted on the calendar, depending on what the office is doing. I don't know what days they're open. Ritz would know better, but this is kind of an ideal schedule for what we're doing next week. If that changes, I'll send out a message and update you guys. Let's jump into our listing presentation training. So just to kind of set some ground rules or maybe to paint a picture of what's happening when you get to this step, right? So the prerequisites to you presenting to someone for a listing are, number one, you've set an appointment. Number two, when you arrive to their house, you want to come prepared with certain things. So number one, you want to come prepared, obviously, with your presentation. So your laptop or however you're choosing to present it, iPad, whatever. So you got your presentation. You've also got comparable properties. So you've ran comps prior to going to their house and any other documents or ammo or things you'd like to bring as well. So what I personally bring is I bring my laptop with my presentation. I bring statistics comparing me to Homey because I like to use it if there's a commission objection. I can jump into that later. For now, it's not super crucial for you to remember. I also bring printed copies of the listing documents because I don't want any excuse for them to not sign on the spot. Like if I send a DocuSign, they change their mind. I don't like that. I close it on the spot and then I just do send DocuSign from then on out. And then I will normally also bring that's pretty much it. Yep. So let's get started. So what happens is you get to their house, you walk in the door and, you say, thank you for making time for me today. Would you be willing to give me a quick tour of your home? You're going to, take your shoes off if they want you to. First thing you're going to say is, let me go set my stuff down to the kitchen table. We'll come back to that. You're going to go set your backpack or your folder, your laptop or whatever down at the kitchen table. You're marking your territory. So you're setting the expectation that we're going to walk the house and then we're going to go basically talk business, right? So at this stage, you've walked the house, you've taken some notes on your phone, asked maybe some questions about, repairs or upgrades or updates or anything that's applicable and pertinent that you want to remember. You're going to take notes of. Maybe they're saying, yeah, we're going to fix this before listing, or yeah, we just actually replaced that or whatever. Take those notes, right? Get familiar with the property. Let them know you're really there doing your homework on their home and intentional in listening to them. And then you're going to make your way back to the kitchen table. You're going to sit down with the husband and wife or the husband or the wife or the whatever combination they have, it doesn't matter. And you're going to say, hey, again, thank you for making time for me today. I'm really excited to meet with you. So we're going to quickly go through my guide to selling your property. So this is basically the meat and potatoes of what I do to get your house sold, right? So beliefs and mission. And again, you guys are welcome to tweak any of these slides. You're going to have to discern. I'm going to jump between presenting and also giving you guys advice on each slide. So just do your best to discern which is which, right? So when I'm sitting with my client, I like to start off by setting the standard that it's all about them, right? That I really don't want to be involved if they're not winning, right? So what I say is, listen, we believe, and in this case, you change yours to say, I believe when I take care of others' needs, I'm in turn taken care of. I'm going to provide you with the best service, information, and tools to make this whole process easy. My philosophy involves putting my clients first in every single thing I do. So if you're not winning in this situation, I don't even want to be involved. I do that up front just to like really kind of drive home like my values as an agent and what I'm actually focused on throughout this process, which is not just selling their home, but truly giving them a beautiful experience. So next, we're going to quickly talk about finding your buyer. This is how people find houses. So back in 2020, there was a study done and 52% of buyers came from the internet. 29% came directly from real estate agents. And then there's a bunch of other different methods that you can use to find buyers. So yard sign, open house, home builder, or their agent, etc. Right? In my mind, the best marketing plan is one that encompasses all the areas that buyers are already using to find houses. So from optimized internet exposure to networking with local agents, I know I'm going to work as diligently and as fast and efficiently as possible to not only get you an offer quickly, but get you one that's the best it could possibly be, the highest and best offer we can find. So really quick, Mr. and Miss Seller, I just want to talk to you about most agents' marketing plan. So most agents use what I call the 3P method. So they're going to put a sign in the yard, they're going to put it on the market, and they're going to pray it sells for top dollar. Outside of that, they have no guarantee or strategy to get you top dollar. I don't know about you, but I think you deserve better. What do you think? And I usually shut up and they'll say, well, yeah, of course, that's a pretty common sense question, right? Like, yeah, like perfect. Well, let's talk about what that looks like for you to get more. So when you list with me, we're going to talk internet marketing. Your house will be on 1,000+ websites. What that means is it'll be on every website, every app, everywhere. Wherever someone's looking for a house in Orem across the nation, your house will show up on that website. So we want to make sure that we cast the largest net possible across the internet to get you maximum exposure. A couple other things we do to make sure your house shines and stands out. So we're going to list your house on KSL and Facebook Marketplace. Now, these two websites are completely free of charge, but in my opinion, most agents are lazy and they don't use them to their advantage. Now, Mr. and Miss Seller, I don't know about you, but I find myself shopping for things on Facebook Marketplace or KSL all the time that I probably shouldn't. Well, home buyers are no different. And especially with how the market's been the last couple of years, a lot of people have gotten creative in how they actually look for houses. And so I want to expose your house to hundreds, if not thousands of extra potential buyers, through these other means. Another thing that we do, we have paid targeted advertising. So you've probably had a conversation about, let's say fishing poles at Cabela's and then later pulled out your phone to see an ad on your phone for that very same thing. So Keller Williams partnered with Facebook, and we're actually able to use that type of technology to where if somebody has searched for Orem real estate, right, and looked at houses similar to yours, we'll actually post an advertisement that will follow them around on the internet and show them your home consistently on their social media profiles. And then I'll normally ask, like, how does that sound? Or what do you think about that or something, just to confirm they're actually following. And right now, I'm obviously talking pretty quick because we're breezing through this, but I'm normally more slow paced to keep myself calm. And I do a good job kind of explaining things. So then I'll say, great, let's move on. And then for you guys, any questions so far? You guys following?
Yeah, I'm good.
Perfect. Okay, so then I'm going to jump into the next section. I'm going to say, okay, let's talk about unique marketing. So when you list your house with me, we're going to put on and I like to say things like that too. When you list your house with me, I'm assuming the sale. I'm planting seeds subconsciously for them that we are doing business. That's what's happening next. So I'll say, yeah. When you list the house with me, we're going to put on a well-marketed open house, which allows us to create a excitement and a pressure-free environment for people to come and view your home. I'm also going to present your listing to over 100 top agents in Utah at our brokerage every week. This allows me to kind of brag about your property and get potential buyers or investors, not only people in my office, but people they're working with as well. And then last but not least, we do high-quality professional photography on every single home. I like to say the first showing really starts online, and I want people to like the house so much based on how we presented it through photos that when they show up in person, all they're doing is confirming it looks like that for real, and they're ready to move on, right? They're ready to go. So here is a demonstration of, a bad photo compared to a good photo. We want your house to be shown in the best possible light so we can get you top dollar in the shortest amount of time. And we're also going to focus on creating a warm and inviting environment with how we set up your house for sale. So I like to, and this is kind of where I go for like a soft close a lot of the time. So I'll say, Mr. and Miss Seller, you're probably looking at me saying, okay, cool, but why does all that matter? Like that's a fire hose of information. So this is my script. So you ready? This is what I say. I say, so why does this matter to you? Because for me, the more eyeballs I can get on your property online leads to more feet in the door, which leads to more offers in my inbox, which leads to more money in your pocket. So the whole strategy here is that the more people we can get to engage with your property, this is going to give us the best odds of getting you top dollar and giving you the pick of the litter. How does that sound to you? And of course, they're going to say, yeah, that sounds awesome. Let's do it. Cool. Let's move on. So really quick, let's talk about pricing your house. So we want to price right and attract buyers. Okay. So what we have here is two different graphs illustrating the difference between the two markets, right? So for the past 5 or 6 years, we've been in what's called a seller's market, right? Which what that kind of means is that there's less inventory available than buyer demand, right? So in a seller's market, your margin of error right here is very, very, very slim. So what that means is that if I price your house and I look and see what comparable sales are for, and I price it above what comparable listings are selling for, we could still potentially be in the market and sell it, right? And same thing goes for condition. Let's say your house is in worse condition than the other houses for sale around it. We still might sell it in a seller's market because there's so little inventory, right? However, we are now in what's called a buyer's market or more of a balanced market, more leaning towards buyer side. So what that means is that our margin of error is super, super high, meaning if we don't price your house well compared to what other houses are selling for, and if your condition doesn't stack up to the competition, we'll be out of the market, right? We want to be in the market. What that actually means is a property is going to generate the most interest when it first hits the market, right? The number of showings is going to be greatest during this time if we've priced it at a realistic market value. The problem is that starting too high and dropping the price later, you miss that initial excitement and you're going to fail to generate strong activity, which means you're going to end up chasing the market down. And we're going to jump into that here in a second. But again, the key takeaways here are pricing your property competitively will actually generate the most activity from agents and buyers, but pricing it too high will make it necessary to drop it later and potentially even below market value to get it to even compete with the new, better priced or better conditioned listings. Does that make sense? And then they're normally going to say, yeah, that makes sense. I say, great. And sometimes if they're not following, I'll give them an example where I'll say, okay, Mr. Masello, let me ask you a question. Tomorrow, you're looking for a brand new house, okay? And I say, hey, I've got 2 houses to show you. I've got this house over here that just hit the market. And, what do you think? And they're going to say, oh, we're excited to go see that brand new house. And then I say, okay, I got this other house over here I could show you, but it's been on the market for 90 days. They've dropped the price 3 times and it still hasn't sold. What do you think of that house? And they're going to say, oh, there's something wrong with it, or, oh, why hasn't it sold, right? And then I say, okay, so what do you think buyers will think about your house if we don't nail this first try, right? They're going to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. They're going to look at my house like there's something wrong with it and not want to buy it, right? So we want to be on this side, that new shiny listing on the market. So what we're going to talk about here is pricing right to attract buyers. So when you're pricing your property, what this is illustrating is your asking price for the property compared to the percentage of the buyer pool meaning the total amount of buyers available looking at houses in your specific price point. So I'm just going to right off the bat tell you, I'm never going to encourage you to price your house 15% above market value. And I'm not going to encourage you to price it 15% below, unless, the house is a total like crack house. That's a different story. We want to be somewhere around market value or slightly below in this market, because that's going to give us our highest buyer pool, which in turn is actually going to make you more money. So what that actually looks like is that most offers are received between days 3 to 5 on the market, at least statistically over the last couple of years. So the problem is that, if you don't price right, the time on market, the days on market are actually going to work against you. And the longer you're on the market, statistically speaking, the less you're going to sell for. So again, it's very important that we price things or price your house properly. So a couple of pricing misconceptions, and then we're going to actually look at the comparable sales in your neighborhood, and we're going to establish a list price together for your home. It's very important to price your property at competitive market value when we finalize a listing agreement. So most often what people base what they think their house should be priced on, that's actually incorrect, is what they paid, what they need, what they want, what their neighbor says, what even another agent says, the cost to rebuild today, or what Zillow says. The problem with that is that how value is actually determined is what a buyer is willing to pay, what an appraiser says the house is worth, and what you as a seller are willing to sell the house for. Buyers today are making their pricing decisions based on comparing your property to the other comparable listings that are active and sold in your area. So we want to use that information that's not biased based on your wants and needs or anybody else's, but just the real cold hard truth, right? And then I'll lead them into looking at comparables. In my personal presentation, I took this slide out. I go over it in paper because I want them to be able to flip through and have a thing. And I'll even make notes on it to show them I did my homework. It's more of a just my style, but you guys are welcome to use this slide and throw your best 3 comparables in. A little cheat code when it comes to getting them to select a price is once they're done reviewing, ask for the packet back, or if you're showing them online, you're going to just go to the comp that you think is the best priced, and you're going to leave your computer or the page on that specific property, and you're going to give it to them. You're going to say, okay, based on what you saw, where would you price your property? The goal with that, it's kind of sly, but it's, you're kind of like pushing them towards like, this is where I want you to price your house. But cheat code, your job is not to tell them where to price the house. Your job is to bring the information to them to make an informed decision. The problem is if you go in and you say, I think you should price it here, and they don't like that, you just lost that deal. It doesn't matter how good of an agent you are. If you don't play this part right, you will lose the deal. So it's very important that you come from a place of, I am a consultant and you are making the best informed decision. My job is just to educate and set expectations, because if I come in here and I say, Mr. and Miss Seller, you need to list your house for 500, and they're thinking, I was thinking 6, chances are you're going to lose that listing, and they're going to go list with the agent who said, yeah, I'll list it for 6, even if that's complete asinine and it's not going to work. Okay, so I'm going to take a little breather for a second. What questions or takeaways do you guys have so far based on what we went through?
I like your bringing in comparables that are basically priced right, or maybe something that where you're kind of not pushing them, but likely to head in order to get the house sold.
Appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of it is just your due diligence ahead of time and how you structure things will help determine a better outcome for you and your seller, because you're coming prepared and you're also kind of like leading them in the direction as a professional it needs to go to get them the result they want. So I appreciate you sharing. Let's get one more. Who else has a takeaway or a question? Cool. We'll move on. So closing process, I like to go through this with my sellers just to remind them if they haven't sold for a while, kind of what that actually looks like to go through the sales process. So I like to tell them that once we get an offer accepted, it's pretty traditional that we'll close within 45 days. That's broken up into 4 steps we have to get through before we close. And what that looks like is between days 1 and 7, we're going to send over a seller's disclosure, which is where you're going to disclose everything you know about the home to the buyers. We have a form that makes this easy. The title company will also basically do a preliminary search on the house. And that way the buyer knows kind of what they're getting themselves into to start. The buyer is then going to take the next week or so to go and do an inspection. That usually takes about 3 hours with a licensed inspector. And normally after an inspection, we've got 3 options. The buyer may ask for some repairs. If they do, we can negotiate to fix them, lower our price, or do nothing. In today's market, there are repairs that come up 9 times out of 10. We're probably going to participate and fix them or lower our price just based on the way things are right now. But I'm obviously here to negotiate and give you guys the best protection possible. And then there's financing and appraisal, which is, between 2 and 4 weeks into the transaction. The appraiser will come to look through the house and assess the value. The buyer will finish off their loan and submit it to underwriting. And then we're going to settle and close. That's where you guys sign all the settlement paperwork. A business day later, ownership is transferred. All the money is dispersed and your home is officially sold. And I'll say, any questions? Perfect. Well, we'll get that started. And then for us, where do we go from here? We're going to coordinate photography. So that way, you guys have your house shown in the best possible light. I'll also help you coordinate any other potential vendors you might need. So if you need contacts for cleaners or, carpet cleaners or handyman or whatever, let me know and I'll get you a list of people you can hire for those types of services. We're going to plan out the important dates. So we're going to sit down here in a second. We're actually going to find out when you want to have the house listed by, and then I'm going to work to get all those things coordinated. So by that day, we can make it happen. And then pre-marketing to peers, I'm going to start telling the people I know about your listing in hopes to get us some excitement and traction before we get started. And then your job moving forward is depersonalize. So these are the 3 Ds of real estate, right? As far as home preparation is concerned. So depersonalize, you want to think of model house. So when you walk in your home, you want to think of it through the eyes of a buyer. How would they want to see it? They're going to want to be able to walk through and picture their family's stuff on the wall or, their kind of family in that living space. So it doesn't mean you need to strip the walls completely, but if there's anything that's super over the top, I'd encourage you to take it down. Deep clean. So I'll send you over a cleaner contact if you need it, but getting your home deep clean prior to listing is going to be super important. Your home can never be clean enough. It's going to really do a solid on getting presentation down well for your home. And then declutter. The less in your home, the bigger it looks. So clearing out spaces and making it look as neat and tidy as possible is going to be very important because you don't want a buyer walking through having to, turn to the side to walk through a hallway or a bedroom because there's stuff in there or whatever. You want to make it as clean cut as possible. So if you have any questions or concerns with that, just let me know. And then last but not least, our team will be with you. So Michelle Toyne, she coordinates all the signing of necessary documents. She makes sure all the documents get to the right parties and everybody's connected in some form of communication and ensuring all deadlines are met. So Michelle's been a part of hundreds, if not thousands, of real estate transactions. She's actually my personal assistant, and she'll be here as well as a point of contact to make sure no bumps happen and we're good to go. So just for you guys, always present Michelle and the team as like your assistant. They're something you created. It's not something you're a part of. They're yours. You own them. Not own them. That maybe sounds terrible, but you know what I'm saying? Like you're the facilitator of it. That's going to help build credibility with your clients. And they're going to be very impressed that you're this early in your career and you already have people, supporting you on staff. So use that to your advantage. And then I always like to say, okay, great. Well, before we move on, is there anything that I may have missed or forgot to mention that's important to you when it comes to selling your home? What am I doing when I ask that question?
You're making sure that you're providing them with the best service and meeting their expectations.
Correct. Yeah. I'm also looking for objections as well. So I'm trying to draw out any last minute concerns so I can handle them because my next step is to close them. So I'm going to say, cool, our next step. So we're going to sign the listing agreement. We're going to get things rolling. Then we're going to finalize our game plan for when the property will be listed. And then I'm going to start working after this. I'm coordinating any needed vendors prior to listing. Any questions or concerns? And they're going to say, nope. And I'm saying, great. Let's go through the paperwork. So here's what I charge. Here's what this means. Sign here, initial here, press hard, 2 copies, that type of thing. And then you're going to give them a high five or a hug and say, hey, thank you. Appreciate your guys' support. Let's do this. And you're going to walk away with your first listing and it's going to feel really freaking good. And we're going to, get that bad boy sold and get you paid and help that family out. So any questions, or I'd like to hear at least 1 or 2 takeaways from what we just went through. So I'm going to sit here in silence and I'm going to let you guys stew on that. And when you have a takeaway you want to share, you let me know.
Well, I do have a question. When you ask about when you're trying to fish out any objections, what do you normally get, or what normal objections do you get?
Yeah. So the reason I ask it that way, I learned this from Clay Winder in our office. When you say, is there anything else that's important to you when it comes to selling your home that I may have forgot to mention or missed? The reason I say it like that is because I'm not trying to say like, I don't offer that. I'm just making a statement more of like, it opens the door that if they say, yeah, my other agent actually said they'll cover the cleaner, or they said this, or they said that, or they actually included, door knocking. They said they'd go knock our neighbor's door. Oh yeah. No, I do that too. Yeah. Sorry. Just forgot to mention that. No problem. So yeah, now that I do that, are you cool to move forward? Right. Oh yeah, I am. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Right. You're just trying to look for that last, like, or maybe they say, yeah, on HGTV, they said that staging is very important. Do you not offer staging? And you can say, oh, I definitely have a staging contact. And we can, talk about, if you guys aren't in a position to cover that, normally what I would do is, charge a little extra commission and I'll take care of it or whatever it is, right? You're able to then at least work it and know last minute if there's any last things that are important to them before you just steamroll over into the paperwork. Because if you don't do this step properly, what's going to happen is you're going to pull out the paper and they're going to go, yeah, we kind of want to take the night to think about it. Thanks for your time. And you're never going to hear from them again. So you want to get really skilled at not only leading the conversation where you intended to go, and also not being high pressure. You're coming from a place of pure service and giving them the best experience you possibly can. And the way you do that is you really make sure they feel heard and that you know what's important to them. And that's an easy way to do so. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Perfect. Let's get one, maybe two more takeaways or any questions you guys have left.
Here's a takeaway from me. I thought about the declutter and also having a person to kind of be a consultant to tell them, you know, how to take care of your home. So you can say, I'm going to send in a consultant, so you're not the bad guy. But I never thought about, you know, having someone that's a cleaner and a carpenter on hand. So that's kind of a takeaway for me. And that also gives me an opportunity to make a few calls and make some connections with cleaners or carpenters to see if they're working, and, you know, and I can put them on I say, I'm looking for someone and I'm in real estate business. I just want to have you as a person. So that's something that's a good takeaway for me.
Perfect. Scott, I'm going to challenge you. Maybe challenge is not the right word. I'm going to encourage you to do that. I think it's a beautiful takeaway and great idea. Having some form of vendor list or preferred vendors is really important, because then when someone says, who's your guy? You know, you can say, oh, I've got 2 roofers that I usually send business to. Let me contact them for you. Right. But I'm going to take it a step further. And I'm going to say, when you reach out to those people, what you should ask is not, hey, I'm looking for a roofer. You should say, I'm looking for a referral partner. What that looks like to me is that whenever I have someone that says they're going to want to look into roofing, I'm going to guarantee you I'm going to send you them, or send their name to you, or vice versa. Send your name to them. Only thing I ask for in return is at least once a year, you send me some form of referral. Deal? If they say, yep, you say, okay, great. Do you know of anybody right now? No? Okay, cool. Well, I'll check in from time to time and see when you do. Set the expectation early on. I didn't do this and I regret it. Set the expectation early on with your lenders or even title people or whoever, that you are, it's a referral relationship. That's why you're doing business together, is because you're going to send them your people. And all you ask in return, because, you know, your roofer might know 10 agents, your lender might work with 20, your title person knows 100. All you're really doing is just saying, I just want one. Just give me one name a year of someone who's ready to do business, and I will send you all of my stuff. You'll have complete loyalty from me. 10 out of 10 accolades. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that's an awesome idea.
Perfect. Yep. So go make that happen, man. I think you might pick up a deal just from making those calls. Anybody else have any last minute takeaways or questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So when you have a seller that can't cover like cleaning, you know, like certain things like cleaning and stuff like that, how do you, and you cover the cost, like, oh, also like with staging too, how do you negotiate, like what does the negotiation look like with what does the negotiation look like?
So it depends on where you're at in your career, right? So when I was a new agent, I mean, I pretty much from the get-go have covered the cost of cleaning and photos, and I've even in certain listings covered some repairs or covered staging. It's case by case. I think you need to set up your processes or your policies. That's what I'm going to say. Your policy in your own business on what you're willing to offer people. I think as a new agent, especially with the brokerage split, I don't think I'd be offering staging and stuff, because you're not going to make any money and then it's not productive at all. But when you're solo or you're on a team and you can offset some of those expenses, I think there is value in giving to people and being, because some agents, they don't do anything. They don't even pay for photos, which I think is stupid. I want my clients to feel like, yeah, when they work with me, they get to kick their feet up and they get more than they pay for, even though that's technically not true. It is, because their experience is amazing and I tend to make them more money than other people in different things or have a better experience. But I still am profitable knowing that I can occasionally I'll offer cleaning on every listing, no matter what. I'll offer photos on every cleaning or every listing, no matter what. Staging is case by case. And I've even in the past raised my commission to, let's say, 6.5% or 7% to offset that cost. And so that would be my first line of defense for you guys is if someone says, yeah, well, we don't really have the money for staging. We really wanted to look into it. Say, hey, no problem. Let's do this. I will cover the cost of staging, but we're going to bump the commission. And then that way it'll just get paid out of your proceeds when you close. But as of right now, you guys don't have to front any cash. How's that sound? And they'll say, yeah. And then what you want to do though, is you want to have something in the listing agreement when you do stuff like that, that just states in the event you cancel on me, you got to pay me back, because I personally have lost thousands of dollars, like probably 5 to 10 grand over my career, in putting money into houses that people end up saying, yeah, we decided not to sell. And then I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. There goes $300 or $1,000 or whatever. Right. So yeah, be cautious with that. But that's my best advice for you. Otherwise, did that answer your question, Leilani?
Yeah, it did.
Perfect. Anybody else have a takeaway or any questions? Cool. So really quick, just want to do a quick recap. So for those that were on yesterday's call, you heard the announcement. For those that weren't, I'm going to just quickly make that again. So I am stepping away from the coaching role at the end of the month. And so what that's going to look like for you guys is, at least for a second, there won't be like script practice time with me designated as your coach, but you will still have access to all these resources, all the trainings I've recorded, all the presentations, the marketing material. You'll have access to Ritz. You'll have access to Michelle as your main point of contact for questions regarding transactions and whatnot. What I'm hearing the goal at the office is we're revamping Ignite, which I will be teaching Ignite at least once a month. So you guys will still see me around. And the office is going to eventually, it sounds like, have someone replace me that's more 9 to 5 designated and salaried, not running their own business. So they're a lot more like available, let's say. In the meantime, though, because you guys have already spent as much time with me as you have, and because me going into this was about helping you, not me, I'm still here to help you. So if you guys need me down the road, consider me your mentor long-term. I'm happy to be here for you. And what I would just recommend you guys be working on right now is everything I've been saying this whole time. Do your calls every single day, set up your database, and then look for long-term planning for your business, because I think that next year things are going to get really good again. That's just my gut feeling. I think that people are starting to get more comfortable with the rising interest rates and just where the market's at, and our house is dropping their pricing. Like, we've lost some value. So I think that next year will be a really, really, really big year, both for investors as well as traditional home buyers. And I think if you guys gear yourself up now to start creating momentum, I wouldn't be surprised if you close 1 month next year, like 5 in a row or something crazy, because that's how quick it can happen. And I will say that even right now, one of my past clients/students, Austin Polson, who's on our team, he closed 3 in a week, like 2 weeks ago. So it works. What I teach works. And I support you guys. I hope and wish the best for you, but we'll see how next week goes. We'll only have a handful more times to interact with each other. So if you guys need me, reach out. If you want additional training or support on any specific topic, please let me know. But for now, I'll make time twice a week to make calls with you guys. I'll probably hold one more team meeting next week. And then, I wish you the best. And I genuinely care and appreciate you guys. So care for and appreciate you guys. So there's something I can do for you, let me know. Any needs, wants, concerns, questions before we wrap up?
Appreciate you. Just have a Merry Christmas.
Hey, you too, Scott. And I appreciate you sending me that email last night. It meant a lot. But like I say, just consider me a long-term friend, mentor, whatever I need to be for you guys. Like I say, I really do. I really do care for you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing your success. But otherwise, signing off. Thank you. Enjoy your Thursday. Get after it. If you need me, give me a holler. Thanks, guys.
Sweet. Thank you.